Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Pregame Show presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey to get Coors Light delivered or to find a store near you. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your Director of Fun and Games for the afternoon. Joining me today, live and in studio, it's Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on today, Chuck?
How's it going, Bill?
Oh, it's going great.
Ready for another perfectly normal hockey game?
Oh, yeah, I bet you. Honestly, the Flyers, they've been somewhat dramatic because they're low scoring and like a low scoring game, like you're in it the whole way. But 2-0 win, 3-0 loss. Like they've been kind of normal against Boston. I guess shutouts aren't normal, I guess. There's nothing ever normal about this team.
It is wild that this is the third time they're playing Boston.
Yes, this is the rubber game. This is it. Season series is over before Christmas.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
It is. Considering, have they even played Pittsburgh yet? Has that happened?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, and you're done with an out-of-division opponent already. Odd, but it's the NHL schedule. It never makes any sense, Indeed. Charlie. I guess something that does make sense, John Tortorella's lineup today. Yeah, whatever. Not changing. Aleksei Kolosov gets the start, so that's, I guess, a little bit of a difference.
He played last game, but he didn't start.
Did not get to start.
Yeah.
I mean, between the two of them, how to flip a coin, neither of them were any good. So Kolosov gets the start today.
Fair point.
But the rest of the lineup remains intact. Yeah, they lost, and it was a silly, stupid game. But, Flyers played pretty damn well against a pretty good, maybe the best team in the league. 8 representatives on that team going to the Four Nations, for instance. That means you have 8 All-Stars just between those 4 nations on your team. Pretty damn good, and the Flyers represented themselves well. So as Jackie Spiegel tweeted this morning, lineup remains the same, at least for the skaters. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have made a couple tweaks to lines, but overall, I would say since since the Chicago game, they've been playing good hockey.
Yeah, that Chicago game was, but they've been pretty good. I know we always look at, these are the lines from last game. Right. They're being repurposed for today because it's the same lineup. I guess you could just look at it and go, man, Farabee, he's getting chances, he's getting shots. Second on the team in attempts in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff. It's just not going in. He finally broke his point drought with that assist off his skate to Forster on the power play last game. Still hasn't scored in months, it feels like.
It's been 76 years.
Yeah, see. Any thought to maybe move Forster up because he's going well? But overall, you kind of have 4 lines going, so why mess with it? And eventually Farabee will start scoring, we think.
I think that's the obvious tweak if they need to make a tweak, just because, number one, Forster is playing better, and it's clear that he's starting to get it going. We talked about it yesterday on the show. That's great news for the Flyers, not only for the short term, but for the long term. And then that Farabee has good chemistry with Brink. So, that is the obvious tweak if you want to switch those two guys. I just think they are really laser focused right now on getting Joel Farabee scoring because they believe he's playing well. John Tortorella yesterday, when we talked to him, reiterated that he believes Joel Farabee is playing well. He's just not scoring. They think that if we keep giving him the minutes, if we keep giving him the usage, eventually he's going to break through. And that when he breaks through, then he's going to score in bunches because that's the way it works in hockey. You don't
it's
score for a
always
month,
the way it goes.
And then you score 8 goals in 4 games. And it's like, oh my God, he's so hot. It's just, he should have been scoring, it should have been spread out over the 25 games. But
you go to Hockey Reference at the end of the year and it's 82 games, 52 points. Nice season.
Yeah,
way to go.
And then it's you actually dig into it. Yeah.
They were all in January and February.
Yeah. But I do agree that if you're going to make a tweak, it would probably be that. That's the easiest one to make. I just don't think they're ready to move Farabee out of that usage because they want to get him going.
I think the easiest, if I was looking at this, I'd go, if I really wanted to get Farabee going, that line's working. It's not like it's not working. They're at 66% expected goals or something.
Yeah.
Man, just kind of seems like, I don't know, put him with Michkov. But that line, we're finally seeing the chemistry with Owen Tippett.
That's true.
So, that's the one thing I really don't want to mess with.
Yeah, let's see if that can grow.
Let's see if we can, hey, man, we all kind of see, if Owen Tippett just has a little bit more, he could be 35, 40 goal scorer. What if that little bit more is this 19-year-old mad Russian.
For a couple more days.
Yeah, for a couple more days. He's still a teenager. He still has a chance. He still has a chance at that overtime record.
Is this the last game?
This might be. Yeah, his birthday's what?
What is it, the 9th? So we got 2 more games.
He has this game, and it's a back-to-back. So he has today and tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, one of these games is going to overtime.
It's the Flyers.
The most convenient would be today, Saturday at 1. Sunday at 7, it will obviously go to overtime. Kelly's going to be in here. It's a work night. 100%. That game will be going to overtime. And Michkov, flair for the dramatic, on the eve of his 20th birthday, breaks the record. I mean, we might be betting overtime tomorrow. We might be betting Michkov goal.
Can you bet on a game going to overtime?
You can. There's like a 3-way line, like team wins in regulation, either way, and then tie at the end of regulation.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we'd be making a lot of money if you've been betting that this year for the Flyers.
You really would. So maybe we're going to look at that a little bit tomorrow. But with the news that Aleksei Kolosov will be getting the start today, one must assume Ivan Fedotov is backing up.
I would guess. It would surprise me, not shock me, but it would surprise me if they would dress Ersson and not play him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like his first game back.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before we went live, like we spoke yesterday about these back-to-backs. Well, maybe if Ersson's healthy, you can get him into 1. If he were backing up today, I mean, Kolosov's been better lately, but he was horrible in the Florida game. Yeah. Even if it's Fedotov starting and Ersson back, like, there's a really good chance you have to go to Ersson. You have to go to your backup today. It's well within the realm of possibility. And then tomorrow you start him. Well, that goes against the whole idea of let's ease him back in. So maybe he starts tomorrow. Maybe he's not ready. But looks like he's still on injured reserve right now.
Yeah, he is.
It's a little weird. They made the Delorier move, and then there's no corresponding. Maybe Delorier's just really hurt.
Yeah, well, it does. If it makes it more likely that he's actually injured. That this wasn't just a move where it's like, well, yeah, you're hurting all the time, so go on IR for a few days.
Yeah.
This does make it more likely that Delorier actually is hurt. I do want to ask you a question, though.
Okay.
Because I think you can read the tea leaves and say that Ersson, well, while he's obviously not back today, is going to be back soon. If this is Aleksei Kolosov's last start, because it's possible if Ersson comes back, maybe they make a decision on whether they're going to send Kolosov back. There's a non-zero possibility. I don't think it's like incredibly high, but there's a non-zero possibility. This is Aleksei Kolosov's last start with the Flyers before he goes down or goes back or whatever. What are your thoughts on how he's been? What's your degree of confidence both in him now and as a long-term piece?
Yeah, long-term, he definitely showed something. Like, he's not ready. That is very, very obvious. And I think if nothing else, I hope this stint has showed him he's definitely not like an NHL starter right now. Right. But he is a below average, maybe can give you a good game, NHL goalie at best, right at this very moment. Now, like, that's every 22-year-old. If you're an NHL goalie at 22, you're a prodigy.
Yeah.
Like, but I do think, hopefully it showed him, I probably could benefit from some AHL time. If the things I have to adjust to are unique to the North American game, I cannot learn them in the KHL. Therefore, going to Allentown for, the rest of this season, and let's face it, a week or two probably, like, not the end of the world for my career. And they showed me they are willing to give me the NHL time. I'm clearly number 3 on the depth chart. Yeah. Like, I'm hoping he learned what he doesn't know, like what he is and isn't. But yeah, I think he has tremendous upside. He's already shown he can keep his head above water here. Like, he hasn't sucked flat out. He's had games that sucked, like the last one he was in, but he's been okay half the time. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really tough because, like, when he first comes up, that's still the team just playing like garbage. Like, and the goalies are a part of it, but yeah, he wasn't helping. Nor was Fedotov. Ersson started to get it together around that time, but he's been up and down. He's been hurt. I like what he projects to be, but it's clear he ain't ready yet.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you that the best place for him to be right now is the AHL. Now, whether he's willing to do that, I guess we'll find out. Or maybe we won't. Maybe they'll just keep him up. And maybe, in a sense, that shows that he's not willing to go down because that's why he stays up. But I think he would benefit the most by playing in the AHL, by rounding out the the rough edges of his game, working with development staff, just getting a lot of playing time in a league that doesn't have Cale Makars and Nathan McKinnons and Nikita Kucherovs that can just pick the corners at will.
You can be right and still give up the goal.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, man, they're just better than you.
Yeah.
and they're better than everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
why they're so good.
Unless your name's Connor Hellebuck, you don't have a shot. And you are worlds away from winning a Vezina trophy. You're not that yet. But my guess, especially with, we don't really know what Ersson is. He's been day to day for 2 weeks. My guess with the Disney on Ice trip coming up, I think they continue carrying 3 through the new year.
Do you?
And then when they come back, there's or maybe it's the Christmas break, there's a reassessment. Maybe not on the trip afterwards. I think right around that time is when some decisions maybe start to get made. But we've talked about it. Carrying 3 seems like an easy idea until you realize, there's 2 nets at practice. Yeah.
It's tough.
It's
tough.
There's just it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
And when one of the goalies, as we're saying with Kolosov, is very much still in the developmental stage of his career, how do you make those decisions? Fedotov's our number 2, man. What are we just going to have him standing to the side half the time? It doesn't really seem good for him.
Yeah.
Sam Ersson, while an established NHL goalie at this point, it's not like he is arrived. He's not a finished product. We don't really know what he is all the way yet. We need to find starts for these guys. We need to find practice time for them. You can continue to juggle it for a little while, and I bet that's part of why Ersson is still day-to-day. But they're going to have to make a decision soon. I wonder if it's around Christmas, maybe after the trip, because you go on the trip and lose a goalie. It's like the Emil Andre thing to start the year. Why not just bring him?
I mean, that is true, but also there's a reason why no one carries 3 goalies.
Yeah.
The idea is if somebody gets hurt, we'll just fly him out there. I think that's something that's more easily said about that's why we bring an extra defenseman and an extra forward on the trip. Whereas with the goalie, we have 2 and we only need to play 1 per game, really. And if we have to, we'll use an e-bug. So I don't know if I quite buy that, but I do agree that given the circumstances they're in, there is an incentive to kick the can down the road as long as possible.
We started hearing a week or 2 ago, maybe Kolosov's open to it. Maybe they think they've convinced him.
Maybe.
How do you feel about that?
It would be a great thing for the Flyers if he's starting to see it their way. That number 1, I could use the AHL time. Number 2, look at the goalie situation. I'm going to get called up again at some point. I'm not going to be down there forever.
Probably.
Yeah.
John Tortorella could fall out of love with Ivan Fedotov on the plane out west. That could happen.
He pulled him after 1 period last game when neither of the goals he gave up were terrible. And we asked him, and he was just he didn't look sharp. It's very clear that John Tortorella is not sold on Ivan Fedotov.
Yeah, I thought the situations that created those 2 goals against were very tough for Fedotov.
Yes.
The turnover, everything. But the actual puck that beat him, that was stoppable.
Fair.
The Evan Rodriguez goal, man. One of the fastest players in the league on a breakaway. Sometimes that happens. It was an early Fedotov. Why didn't that hit you?
Right.
Where did it? How did it get through you?
You're very large.
You're humongous. Humongous.
Humongous big.
Yeah.
Humongous big. I think the way I'll put it is this. If Sam Ersson gave up both of those goals, he would not have been.
He would remain in.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing we love and the thing the coaches love more than anything about Sam Ersson. It's his mental makeup.
Right.
That goal sucked. I'll be all right. Yeah. And that's why I want to see him get this shot more than anything. Yeah. It's dog, thank you for your service last year. Now here, have a fair shake at things. Now, he's got to get back on the ice. He's got to be healthy. Like, that's a big part of it, too.
It is.
And maybe this is kind of more of a juggling thing than, oh, yeah, he can't go. Like, I bet he could.
Oh, I bet if it's the playoffs, he's playing.
Like, he played 2 full games before he went back on IR. It's not like he left that second game early. He got through it, and then he went back on IR. So we'll see how that all works out. But that leads us to our pregame pick segment. That's right. This pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so we have 2 bets today. That's right. We're going with 2. First one is total goals over 5.5 at -120.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, both of these games between these teams have been low scoring.
That's why
this
it was
far.
interesting. Yeah.
But Boston, a little bit of a different team right now. Since Joe Sacco took over, and really in their last 4 or 5, 6 games, the offense has picked up. They've under Joe Sacco, they're averaging 4 goals a game in their last 5. They've hit 6 themselves a couple of times. Aleksei Kolosov and net.
Fair.
You never know what you're going to get with him. We have growing chemistry between michkov and Tippett. Like, that could be, start the Flyers with a goal. You have an amazing playmaker, guy who thinks the game like a genius, and a dude who shoots the lights out. Sure, Flyers have a goal just based on those 2. And Jeremy Swayman, he's been real good lately, but overall for the season, not exactly great. I think 5.5. If this was 6.5, maybe not, but I think they could hit 6 today.
Okay.
So we're going to take that over. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. Joel Farabee, over 2.5 shots. They're still giving us plus 145 on it. I'm going to keep taking this until they give us a reason not to. He's hit 3+ shots on goal in 6 straight games. He's got 32 attempts in that time, second to only Owen Tippett, who has 34. He finally broke his point drought last game. You know he wants his first goal in 11 games.
You also have to believe, given the way last game ended with him taking the penalty that leads to the game winner, you have to believe he's going to be extra motivated to look. I don't know if he can score because he's been struggling to score for the better part of a month, but he's going to be motivated at least to have an impact. And having an impact means taking shots.
Absolutely. So we're going to take that Farabee over 2.5 shots on goal. It's very interesting to see, man, this Boston team. They're 6-2-0 under Joe Sacco. Swayman's been real good since Sacco took over. He's 3-2-0 with a 925. And listen, Jeremy Swayman's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great goalie.
We knew that.
Yeah.
Can he be a number 1? Well, we got to find out. Like a 60 start a year guy, we have to find out about that.
The past couple of years, he can be one of the, if not the best tandem goalie in the NHL.
And that's where he is, but it's just very interesting. Maybe the timing just lines up. He was negotiating a contract. Didn't have a preseason. Didn't have a training camp. So it took him a month and a half to get into it.
It's very possible.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it is just so funny. You see, always say, oh, show me a Jack Adams winner. I'll show you a Vezina candidate. Yeah. And here we are. Jim Montgomery gets fired. Jeremy Swayman starts not sucking. It's Joe Sacco, look at him.
What a great coach.
Boston Bruins looked like they might bottom out. And suddenly, Joe Sacco, here he is. But it's always funny to me. Man, it's just about the goalies. It's all it comes down to. Boston, they don't have any centers either, man. They went out and tried to solidify the position a little, but we know Elias Lindholm isn't a number 1. Yeah. And they haven't had a number 1. It was Pavel Zacha last year. But here they are, and they're turning it around.
So here's an interesting question. Just because of where the Flyers stand, in terms of them pushing themselves back into the bubble playoff race. And Boston, yes, they are winning more games now. But I think we can agree that this version of the Bruins this year is probably the version we thought we were going to get last year.
Yes.
Where it's they lost Bergeron, they lost Krejci. This is not your father or your uncle's Bruins, where they're just one of the best teams in hockey.
Just mark it down, top 2 in their division probably. It's not that.
As we talked about, this is the final game between these 2 teams. Is this a low-key big game in terms of, these 2 teams could potentially be 2 teams battling for a wild card spot at the end of the year?
You look at the playoff standings right now, and Boston has been moving up, but the way it's probably going to shake out is if they're not 3rd in their division, they're going to be in the wild card. You look at the Metro, 3rd is really tough for the Flyers.
Exactly.
Yeah, the wild card, very much in play for both of these teams. You got to believe it's their, like, not path of least resistance because you're fighting not just your division, but the entire conference.
Right.
But kind of where they slot in if they're going to make it. Yeah, they're each team has won a game, so if it comes down, head to head is somewhere along the tiebreakers. There's so many different tiebreakers.
Even just the fact that, like, hey, if you win in regulation,
if you win in regulation,
they didn't get.
If you win in regulation, you shorten their season.
Exactly.
Like, it's just one game where they didn't pick up any points.
Yep.
It's for both teams. Yeah, I think this is, like you said after the Florida game, it was cool because it felt like it had stakes.
Yeah.
Listen, it's December 7th. It's not exactly the last game of the season against Washington last year.
Sure.
But you go back and go, man, you missed by a point or two.
Yeah.
The points count just the same in December as they do in April.
Yeah, and that's what Travis Konechny said. I thought it was a very veteran thing for him to say, which
it's wild.
Like, literally, sidebar here, it is very funny, like, watching Travis Konechny, not just on the ice, he's obviously become a better player as he's aged, but watching him start to, like, say things that are wise, because when he was a kid, he was just, like, the goofball, and he still is a goofball.
Yeah.
But he occasionally now does say things where you're like, wow, that was, like, a very, well thought out, like that was him pondering the importance of hockey. And one thing he said in his exit interview at the end of the year was, one thing we learned and one takeaway from this season for him was the games in November and December matter just as much as the games in March and April. And you don't think they do at the time. You may be like, you lose a game in December. It's like, whatever. We have 3-4 months to catch up. These games matter. And Konechny, I think, learned that last year because he's, we can very easily look at like, well, if you would have won, 2 games in late March, you would have been in. But Konechny's probably thinking like, that game in December where we just didn't show up for the first 40 minutes, if we did, we wouldn't have had to win those games.
Exactly. That's just how math works. I wonder, like, if Travis Konechny, like, gets home from practice and he realizes he said that and, like, he's got one of the kids strapped to him or something and he just catches himself in the mirror and he's like, what have you become? Like, what are you now? But it is very, I
feel like you probably have those moments where, like, you're paying your mortgage and you're like, man, I'm an adult.
Yeah. It's like I'm like 10 years older than him. It is funny to see, like, these guys that when we started the show together, that's what the 2016-17 season we started BSH Radio.
The team, yeah.
Yeah. Like, these were Sanheim still, it was like couldn't crack the lineup on a regular basis. Yeah. And Konechny, that's his rookie year, right?
It is.
Like,
yeah. Him and Provorov made the team that year.
Now they're representing Team Canada.
That's wild.
That's freaking wild.
That's pretty crazy.
How time sucks.
Getting old, William.
Yeah, we really are. But I'm looking forward to this one, and it is definitely a bigger game against a team that's been good lately. Flyers, like, a bit of a bounce back spot. Like, I bet they're hurting from, man, we had that one.
Oh yeah,
like against a team that is so freaking good, and we played as well as we could outside of a couple of dumb decisions. And were you surprised? Because in post game, you made the whole Napoleon thing, and like, this is who they are. And we see the Joel Farabee quotes, like, yeah, it was stupid, my bad.
Yeah.
And we see John Tortorella, like, time and place, guys. I get it, I know, but like, just maybe not there. Are you a little surprised by that?
No, because Tortorella has said on multiple occasions this year that one of the things he's trying to teach this team is situational play. And that was the epitome of situational play. Like, look, John Tortorella is still John Tortorella. And I thought it was very funny in his answer yesterday where he's like, retaliate next game, retaliate next year. Like, he's like,
take the number, man.
He's like, I'm not saying don't hit him. I'm just saying don't hit him now.
That's like, and that's a thing. Like, take the number down.
Yep.
Just remember, have it in the back of your mind. You got to be like, the pitcher who someone pimped a home run 3 years ago in interleague play, and here's your first chance.
Yep.
Plunk them. It's like, that was pre-COVID, man. What are you doing?
Like,
why are you throwing
I never forget.
I never forget. Like, yeah, sometimes you just got to be a little bit smarter, and they let such a good performance get away from them.
And you didn't even get a point out of
and
it. I feel like it would have been easier to swallow at least like the day after if you would have at least like lost in overtime or lost in a shootout. The fact that you play that well and you get a big old 0 in the standings for it, it's just like
you have nothing to show for it. It is like, you go to 3-on-3 with them, it's like, yeah, they're amazing. You go to a shootout with them, it's man. Like
it wasn't Bob, but still.
Yeah, it's still. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose those games.
Yeah.
To get nothing, and like the things that let you down, goaltending, all right, but it's we took some dumb penalties, and then our penalty kill, our thing, it failed us, and that's kind of where they ended up. So I'm looking for kind of a bounce back performance. Not that like the overall play needs to bounce back, but just a little bit tighter out of them today, and should be a good one. These afternoon games, sometimes they can get a little out of hand too. So I'm looking forward to it, Charlie.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun game. All right, want to do super chats?
Yeah, let's hit some super chats before we get out of here.
We got one super chat.
Just one here from Neil Dexter. It says, no predictions today. Just appreciate you guys. Let's go Flyers.
So Neil, because Come
on, Neil.
I'm not a regular on the pregames. Neil is a regular predictor. Is that his thing? He's a prognosticator?
Neil Stradamus has just hit a couple of big ones.
Okay.
Couturier hadn't scored, and he called 2 goals in the hat trick game. And I think he called a shutout or something else, like a game or 2 later.
Noted.
So he's been good. It's not. I'm trying to get. I'm like, guys, I kind of need some predictions here. You know, my bets haven't been going great. Kind of need a little help here, Neil. But
it's really cool we have regulars.
It is.
That is cool.
There are a lot of, especially in post game, a lot of like regular super chatters and stuff.
Okay.
It's a ton of fun. You know what else is going to be a ton of fun? It is Cutter Gautier's homecoming. That's right. Saturday, January 11th, we have a sweet takeover, ladies and gentlemen.
Only a few tickets remaining.
There's like 2 or 3 tickets left, maybe. That's the count I got the other day. So we might have like 1 left.
Yeah.
This isn't like some sales tactic. This is what I was told. You see that all the time, like low stock, and then it's like a week later, it's the same number of stuff. Yeah. This is true, as far as I know.
There is a limit to how many people we can fit in the suite.
We can only fit so many people in the suite. We have sold most of these tickets. There's a few remaining. Go to allphly.com right now. Hit that events tab, Saturday, January 11th. Sweet tickets, food and drink, all game. Hang out with me. Hang out with Kelly. Charlie's even going to stop by.
I'll be popping in.
He's got to do journalism stuff, but he'll be stopping by as well. It's going to be a ton of fun. You're going to want to do this. Makes a great gift. I mean, say there's 2 tickets left. You get the last 2. You put them in the stocking. Forget a Santa sack. Sweet takeover. That's the way to go.
And also, it's a suite. So if there are morons in the arena that throw things, you're protected.
You are protected. You never know what's going to happen. Cutter Gauthier. Listen, we're going to boo. We're going to scream. But hey, listen, it's Philly. Bad stuff happens in Philadelphia.
I've been told.
So I've heard. So, you'll at least have the suite to protect you. And maybe you want to go a little bit more all out for Christmas. You want something down the line. Everyone loves something to look forward to.
Great gift.
How about a trip to Montreal, April 4th to the 7th? Thank you to Philly Sports Trips. This is also under the events tab on allphly.com. This is going to be an awesome freaking time. We're heading to Montreal. Charlie, it's one of his favorite cities to travel to throughout the season. Kelly's already looking up all sorts of different spots. She's been telling me she has like 10 different things she wants to accomplish on this trip.
Yes.
It's going to be a great time. There's an all-inclusive tailgate. You get round-trip airfare, hotel stay, game tickets. It's going to be great.
Kelly is absolutely going to hike Montreal. That is going to happen.
Yeah.
The mountain behind Montreal. She's 100% going to do that.
I'll tell you, after a couple of weeks of climbing the stairs all the way up here, I might be ready to do that too, Charlie.
Yes.
If this elevator remains broken, I might be able to do that by April too. So we will see. But it's going to be a great time. And who knows, like, this is one of the last, maybe the second or third to last game of the season. Who knows? Hudson v. Michkov? It's could determine the Calder Trophy.
Could be a Calder
You could
thing.
see it, and like, it's Montreal. It's hockey in Montreal. This should be on every hockey fan's bucket list. Check it out, allphly.com.
And you'll get to taunt Montreal fans about Michkov, and that will be very fun.
It will be very fun, as should be today's game, Chuck. That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Pregame, presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey to get Coors Light delivered or to find a store near you. We'll be back with postgame as soon as this goes final. Probably after overtime.
Probably.
No, tomorrow is definitely going to overtime. But make sure you're subscribed right here in the YouTube. Hit that reminder bell. Never miss a live show. I do all my in-game tweeting on @PHLY_Flyers, so follow us there. Until postgame, Let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.